And we are back. Match day 3 is complete. The Wolves delivered an early bite to Man City's title challenge. Arsenal were too hot for the irons. Liverpool scraped past Brighton, and Chelsea were on song as they grabbed a late win at St James's Park. But the news of the week is Tottenham has finally done it. They've ended 30 years of pain and they've recorded a victory at Old Trafford, a record victory at Old Trafford. Stay tuned as I look at the past games where they were won and lost, and I look at the upcoming fixtures for match day 4. Welcome to the Sanderson Show. So we start with the afternoon kickoff. That was Wolves versus Man City, two champions of their respective leagues last season. Obviously, Man City were brilliant last season, recorded 100 points, which is a record season, and Pep showed just how special of a manager he was. But also Wolves, they were brilliant last season in the Championship. You look at some of their players like Ruben Neves, who took games by the scruff of the neck and scored some outstanding goals last season. I predicted Wolves to actually lose this game, but they put up one hell of a fight. They were brilliant from start to finish, actually. And they sort of bamboozled Man City at some parts of the game. The tactics were spot on from Wolves. They had their inside forwards playing very narrow and in a position where they were able to counter-attack very quickly if they needed to, which is the key to beating Man City. You've got to get in behind their defence. You've got to push them back, push their fullbacks back, make their defenders think twice about progressing forward with the ball and moving up to the halfway line. And that's exactly what Wolves did. They were dogged in defending. Conor Cody, ex-Liverpool player, was absolutely outstanding. He was their captain and arguably man of the match. It was just a great game to watch, very intriguing. Now, Wolves' first goal was marred in controversy. At the time of watching it, in real time, you'd never have guessed that it was a handball, but the goal shouldn't have stood. Should there have been VAR? Who knows? But the goal went in and Man City were chasing the game. However, they did respond just like champions do. They got a great goal from Laporte, who a powerful bullet header, unsavable from the goalkeeper, brilliant ball in the box. And at that point, it looked as though Man City would potentially go on and get the win. However, that wasn't to be. Wolves continued to be dogged in their defence. A couple of times they almost caught Man City out at the other end. A very intriguing game to watch, and it just showed that Wolves at the Molineux this season are going to be a very, very difficult outfit to defeat. But again, did this show Man City's weaknesses? Are Man City not the same team as they were last season? Are they missing Kevin De Bruyne's creativity in midfield? I don't know. You let me know. Drop me a comment in the section below and let me know what you think. I mean, this coming week they travel. Newcastle travel to the Etihad, and we know at the moment Newcastle are going through their own problems, as I'll touch on in a minute. But Newcastle at the Etihad, they don't have a great result. They lost last season 1-0. The season before that, Aguero, I think, scored 5 in one game. So it's not looking good for Rafa's Toonami. And with a lack of investment, as we've touched on previously, I can't see anything but a Man City win. I'll be shocked if Newcastle see more than 30% of possession throughout the match. They are going to be having to sit back, soak up pressure and hope that Man City have an off day in front of goal and that they are able to counter-attack Man City and get a few goals themselves. I can't see it happening. Again, they just haven't got the personnel. Is Lascelles going to be back in time for the game? Who knows? Is Shelby going to be back in time for the game? Who knows? I just don't see them doing anything in this game. I think Pep's going to be making sure his players are completely up for this game after he was probably felt embarrassed not winning last week. And he's definitely going to want some sort of retribution. And Newcastle might be that unlucky outfit that has to come up against Pep's team this weekend. So I'm going for a 3-0 win to Man City. But hey, let me know what you think. Man City going to continue their charge towards a title with a dominant win, or Newcastle going to put a cat amongst the pigeons and record an unexpected win? I don't know. You let me know in the comments below. So now we move to Arsenal. Arsenal recorded their first win under the Emery era. Congratulations, Unai. Now, they played some good football in this game. However, let's be honest, West Ham should have been out of sight. They got their first goal for Arnautovic, which was a good piece of play between him and Felipe Anderson, who's been an absolute revelation for West Ham so far this season. And it looked as though Unai Emery was in a bit of trouble. West Ham were getting from their box to Arsenal's box way too easy. And they were producing chances for fun. Arnautovic could have had another goal or two. And it was so easy for them to get in behind the fullbacks. It was unreal. I mean, we all know Emery likes to play attacking brand of football and he likes his fullbacks to get forward. We saw this for years at Sevilla and we've seen this at PSG. And I presume we're going to continue to see it at Arsenal. But has he got the fullbacks to do it at his disposal? I mean, we've got Pep and Klopp who do it with the likes of Mendy and Walker and Trent and Robertson. But they are of a higher calibre than Bellerin and Monreal, if I'm going to just be honest. And I mean, Bellerin did have a good game going forward, but defensively, it was really poor. And yes, we all know the modern day fullback likes to get forward and join attacks, but the basics of being a fullback should be to defend. And if you can't defend, then you're always going to leave your team vulnerable and you're always going to be susceptible to conceding goals. And that's what we saw today, in the game against West Ham. However, West Ham didn't kill off the game, and we all know what happens when you don't kill off the game. You leave yourself open to losing the game, which is exactly what happened to West Ham. They'll look back on this as a missed opportunity. However, Arsenal will look at this as a potential catalyst to drive them on to the next stage of development under the Unai Emery era. Arsenal were resilient in the game. They never let their heads drop, even when they were conceding chances. And they continued to push forward until they got the 3 goals that they needed to win the game. It showed a new side to Arsenal, a steely side to Arsenal that we hadn't seen previously for a few seasons under Wenger. And it was refreshing to see. Me not being an Arsenal fan, but having a lot of friends who are Arsenal fans, I think they considered this victory somewhat of an eye-opening for some of the players who can now have that belief in themselves that, yes, we might not play our best, but we can still ground out a win. I mean, that's what all the great teams have done over the past years. They've been able to win ugly, and that's exactly what Arsenal did against West Ham. So, I mean, it gives them a good platform to build on, especially with their next game being against Cardiff City. Now, they do travel to Wales for that game, but Cardiff are one of my picks to go down this season, and I'd be very shocked if they pick up 3 points against Arsenal. A draw, potentially, but I see Arsenal with a newfound confidence going to Wales and picking up the 3 points. But one thing to consider is the Mesut Ozil ordeal. Is he really injured? Did he have a cold? We don't know. Is he going to be back in the first team? I mean, managers tend not to change the starting 11 or the finishing 11 if a team's won. Will Ozil walk straight back into the team? Will he be fit enough to make the team? It makes for interesting viewing. Me personally, I think Arsenal looked a lot more organised and resilient without Ozil in the team. We all know about his creative quality. It goes without saying he is arguably the most creative number 10 in Europe. However, when he plays, Arsenal lack a bit of steel in that central midfield. Without him there, they seemed a lot more sturdy. They seemed better in possession. And they had that need and that want to charge and press and win the ball back, which you don't always see from Mesut Ozil. So, Gunner fans, tell me what you think. Are you going to pick up a win in Wales? Or is it going to be another away day that you will want to forget? Leave your comments below. So now on to the team that I support. Yes, I've been called biased, so blah, blah, blah. I support Liverpool, but I'm wearing blue today to try and balance things out. But it still doesn't feel too good on the skin. There's nothing like a bit of red on the skin. But that's enough about me. Liverpool scraped through against Brighton in what can be said was a very stressful game for supporters. In the first half, absolutely dominant. We should have been 2, 3, 4 maybe goals up. But the second half, it started to creep in. The doubt started to creep in. We were a bit tentative in the second half and we didn't really put our foot down and we weren't able to grab that second goal. And As always, if you don't grab that second goal in a game, the crowd starts to get a bit nervous, the team starts to get a bit nervous. However, this time we saw a special performance from our new goalkeeper, Alisson. Who else have you seen get the ball and dink it over a striker? Not many. And that wasn't even the best bit. It was the fact that Liverpool conceded a chance close to the end of the game, which would have changed the whole atmosphere in the stadium. However, he pulled out a save, which is what great goalkeepers do. They pull out saves when they have hardly anything else to do, and they make sure that you keep the 3 points in the bank. And that's exactly what Alisson did. Now, even the goal, James Milner did brilliant for the goal, but you wouldn't say that Liverpool created loads of chances after that, any clear-cut chances. And Brighton did put up a really good performance, and they were very resolute in their defending, and they made it difficult for Liverpool. Almost a blueprint as such, how to play against Liverpool. Now, if you're playing against Liverpool with their current players being in form, then you're going to have to ride your luck a little bit, which is what Brighton did. But for all intensive purposes, they defended very well. They were very organised, and they had a few chances themselves. So kudos to Brighton, who I think will hopefully go on to have a good season for their supporters. But for Liverpool, it's something to think about, and it's something to think whether do they have a plan B if things aren't going correct with plan A, which is the front three producing goals and chances. Will Klopp now think differently about that midfield three and still want another creative player in there? Or will he stick with Milner, Wijnaldum and Keita, who have started the season well? And will he keep Gomez in the team if and when Lovren's back? It's a lot for Klopp to think about, but as things stand, 3 clean sheets, 3 games, 3 wins, top of the league. Liverpool could be doing a lot worse. And this weekend, they will be playing Leicester City. And this is a very, very tricky tie, if you ask me. And Liverpool have, over the past few years, found this tie to be pretty tricky. I mean, last season, they scraped through 3-2. A very eventful game with Mignolet giving away a penalty and saving a penalty. And then Vardy scoring to make it 3-2 when we were leading 3-1. And we just about managed to hang on to the win. I see this game being very difficult again. However, they haven't got Vardy this time. Vardy is still suspended. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Liverpool approach this game. Now, we all know Klopp's got an arrogance and he goes into games wanting to win. He doesn't necessarily go to grounds and look to get a draw or contain the opposition. He likes to go there and imprint his philosophy on the game. So it's going to be interesting to see if he does this against Leicester, because Leicester are very good on the break and Liverpool have been susceptible over the years to teams that counter-attack well. I think it's going to be a tough game. What do you guys think? Will Klopp's army continue to march on, or Leicester make Liverpool lose their first game of the season and concede their first goals? Leave your comments below. So, we speak about Chelsea now. The Blues, sorry soldiers, continue to march on, quietly going around about their business and not attracting much in the way of news, and haven't got many people talking about them as title contenders. However, they are 3 games in and 3 wins in. And arguably they've had tougher games than Liverpool and Manchester City. However, no one is talking about them as title challengers, should they be? I mean, once again, Hazard's quality was on display for the world to see. And when he's dribbling with the ball, it is something to behold, to be honest. He's brilliant with the ball at his feet, low centre of gravity, and he just mesmerises defenders. However, did he hold on to the ball a bit too long in some of the instances in this game? I mean, there was a time where he was sort of one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and instead of shooting, he cut back, and then he got surrounded by Newcastle defenders. But it's what he does, and you can't really criticise him when it comes to ball retention and beating players. He's one of the best in the world and has been for the last couple of seasons. But you're starting to see Chelsea again have an identity. They're playing a good brand of football. They're defensively solid, but also going forward, they have a menace about them as well. And Pedro seems to have had a new lease of life since Sarri's come in. I mean, we all know Conte had some issues behind closed doors with some of the players, and it seems as though Pedro now has a license to go forward, and it's almost as though he's lost the shackles and he's the old Pedro again. Very dangerous, and he's creating and scoring goals. Now, this game was again a tricky affair for Chelsea. They picked up the 3 points, but they left it late. I mean, they conceded a few chances themselves as well, and you wouldn't say they were at their fluent best, but this is a results business, and ultimately they got the result they needed. Late goal from Marco Alonso. Well, it went down as an own goal, but really and truly should have been credited with the goal. A right-footed volley, which is not something you expect to see from Marcos Alonso, usually associating with a free kick or scoring a goal with his special left foot. But he did it. He came to the fore again for Chelsea, and he showed why he is one of the best left backs in the league, especially going forward and scoring goals. And it seems as though Sarri is starting to create a belief and a philosophy in that changing room that they can be winners and champions again, whether it be in the Premiership or picking up another trophy on the road. I think Europa League would be a good trophy for Chelsea to win, but again, Europa League is a lot easier to win than most people think. So it'd be interesting to see how he approaches some of the games around that period and some of the games going forward. And I mean, this coming weekend they've got another game. They've got Bournemouth, and I don't see them losing this game, to be honest. I see them picking up the 3 points. Eddie Howe's men have started very well, but I don't see them having enough to beat Chelsea. I think Chelsea are going to be way too strong. They're going to be dominant. I think they're going to retain the ball better than Bournemouth will. I think they'll create chances, and I ultimately think they'll put Bournemouth to the sword. Again, it's not the most hard team on paper, but Bournemouth can always throw up a surprise. Just ask some of the other teams. But in this game, I see Chelsea marching out, grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck, and just doing what they do at Stamford Bridge, being hard to beat, creating chances, and ultimately grabbing the 3 points. If you disagree, let me know. If you agree, let me know as well. So, the big news of match day 3. Tottenham went to Old Trafford and scored not one, not two, but three without reply. Wow. So on the last podcast, I had a good friend of mine from Cheeky Sport, Jermaine, on the show. And I'm going to try and say this without laughing, but Jermaine called me delusional because I predicted a 2-0 win to Tottenham in Old Trafford. And I was delusional because it was three. And I did call Jermaine after the game, and he's not been too happy with me. But I feel his pain. And it was another disaster class from Mourinho. They started the game well, did Manchester United. Luke Shaw was bombing on, and Luke Shaw had an excellent game, to be completely honest. Didn't deserve to be on a losing team. But once again, Lukaku has a chance, and he misses, and United go on to lose. This was an open goal. Lukaku should not have been missing this chance, let's be honest. This should have been in. He should have punished Danny Rose for the back pass, but he didn't. Is this a confidence issue? Is this a technique issue? I mean, it was even captured before the game. They were doing shooting drills, and he's almost shot to the corner flag. Is he out of form at the moment? It's a very interesting situation, but because he's been the man who's been so dependable in that centre forward role and the man that Mourinho turns to, if he falls completely out of form, who comes into that role? Is it Martial? Is it Rashford? But neither of them seem to have the confidence from the manager, and that's shone through for the last couple of seasons. So that's going to be an interesting development. But in terms of this game, you can't take anything away from Tottenham and Pochettino. Tactics were spot on. Lucas Moura has started the season on absolute fire, and Tottenham really did put Man United to the sword, and it could have been worse. In the first half, it could be argued that Phil Jones should have given away a penalty to Lucas Moura, and had they gone in 1-0 at half time, it could have been even worse for United. But as it stands, 3 second half goals from Tottenham, and that was all she wrote for United. And Tottenham looked really, really strong, and I've said it from the beginning. They haven't bought anyone, but they haven't lost anyone either. It is the same Tottenham team that has got second and third place respectively in the league for the last 2 seasons. They are a strong outfit. And when everyone's fit and firing for Tottenham, there's very few teams that are going to beat them. And this showed in this game. They were all on song. Danny Rose had a really good game. Toby and Vertonghen at the back were absolute rocks. But again, we're left talking about Mourinho and his antics after the game. We all saw his press conference. I don't know what to make of it. Eric Bailly dropped completely, not from the team, but from the squad, from the 18. Is that the right message to send out? I mean, he's arguably their best centre-back. And yes, he had a bad game, but we're all human, right? Even footballers have a bad game. Name me a footballer that's never had a bad game. Impossible. So, should he have been dropped completely from the squad? I don't think so. But he was. But we're 3 years into Mourinho's reign and it still doesn't seem like Man United have an identity. Whereas all the other teams in the top six, probably apart from Arsenal and maybe Chelsea, all have an identity. So is it an identity crisis Man United have? Is it a Mourinho problem they have? Or is it just the players just aren't as good as we think they are? Who knows? But as this season unravels, it's going to be very interesting to see how things go. But for Tottenham, it was onwards and upwards. And their next game is against Watford, which again is another tricky game. 2 unbeaten teams, 2 teams with 100% records. Someone's has to go. I don't know who's going to call in this game. I mean, my head's saying Tottenham, but I think Watford have a good chance in this game. But at the same time, Harry Kane's scoring, Lucas Moura's on fire, Eriksen's still dictating. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw here. I see both teams scoring. I see both teams producing chances, but ultimately I think there will be a period where they cancel each other out and Watford will be less adventurous in certain parts of the game. And although Tottenham will push, I don't necessarily know if they'll necessarily break Watford down. So I'm going to go for a 2-2, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham picked up the win here. And then now you've got Manchester United who have to pick themselves up after 2 losses in the first 3 games. Their way to Burnley, which is a horrible place to go. I mean, Turf Moor, it should really be called Tough Moor because it's a horrible, horrible game to play away, especially when you're in the form that Man United are in. How are they going to approach the game? Are they going to try and sit back? I mean, is Fellaini going to start this game? We all know that Burnley are excellent in the air and that's a way to potentially get at them. I mean, Fellaini is definitely Man United's plan B, and will he become their plan A? Will he sit in with Lukaku? Will they play 2 up top? Jesse Lingard had a really good game against Tottenham. Will he retain his place? He's that busy player who just gets on defenders' nerves, but he picks up brilliant positions and interlinks the midfield and attack very well. What is Mourinho's best 11? Who's going to start in this game? We don't know, which is a good thing because the opposition manager doesn't know necessarily how to fully prepare, but it's also bad because the players and the team doesn't know how to gel and where the philosophy is going to be and where the partnerships develop over the field. So I am going to go for a Man United win. I think they will bounce back, but it's going to be a very, very tough game. And I almost see them maybe winning 1 or 2-1 with a late goal. But ultimately, I do think they will get the 3 points. I don't think they'll go 3 games in a row losing. I think Mourinho will get the players up for the game. And I think players like Pogba, they've got to do better. But if they're all on song, then Man United will win this game. And I do think they'll scrape by. So that is all from this week's edition of the Sanderson Show. Slightly different location, but didn't think I'd leave you without a podcast to listen to this week. So as always, thanks for joining me. Please like, comment and subscribe and tell your family and friends about the Sanderson Show. Let's get some more subscribers. Have a great day, guys. Thank you very much.